Welcome to another episode of Behind the Syllabus. I'm Jordan Franklin. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look in the life of Reverend David McCarthey.
David McCarthey. I was born in Minnesota. Both my parents are native Minnesotans from small towns. My dad's from Medelia, my mom is from Ortonville. But I was born in Owatonna, Minnesota. Moved to Richmond, Virginia when I was pretty young, age 2.5, where my sister was born. My sister lives in the Chicago suburb in Naperville. My dad was in the insurance business. He was in the management, started out in personnel, and finally ended up in senior management. Before I was born, she just had some kind of clerical job. She worked at an auto dealership for a while and was a stay-at-home mom most of her life. After 5th grade, he was transferred back to the home office in Owatonna. He stayed there a year and really didn't like the job they put him in. So he looked around and moved to Indianapolis, where he stayed until he retired. One of my hobbies growing up was model cars, so I always had different model cars I was working on. Spread out all over the basement with different, I like to customize them. We traveled some. We saw family. When we lived in Virginia and lived in Indiana, and our family was still in Minnesota, so we would spend our vacations going back to see family. In grade school, I started off at St. Michael's School in Bon Air, Virginia, and then our family moved, and as I graduated, or went to through 5th grade at Crestwood Elementary School in Chesterfield County, outside of Richmond. A year back at Lincoln Elementary School in Owatonna, Minnesota, and then Belzer Junior High and Lawrence Central High School in Indianapolis. Junior high and high school, I was heavily involved in scouts. We would take camping trips about once a month with our scout troop and canoeing. For a while I was, a couple of years I was part of the Hoosier Canoe Regatta, canoe race that they had every year in Indianapolis. And 2 years in a row, my partner and I took first place in our division. You have to ask how many there were in our division, though.
How many were in your division?
Just us. I was very active in a troop in Indianapolis and various leadership positions, from assistant patrol leader to patrol leader, senior patrol leader. Yeah, I was an Eagle Scout, worked at scout camp for a couple summers. The other things that kept me active in high school, I was very involved in music, and swimming was the other thing. That was my sport. Most of my friends were in scouts with me and also in music. Well, I was always involved in church. That year, when I graduated from high school, I was one of 3 speakers that was asked to speak on Sunday morning at our church. And I put together basically 3 points in a poem, a little short 5-minute sermonette. And afterwards, the pastor at our church asked if I'd ever thought about the ministry, and I really hadn't, but that started me thinking about that.
Stick around. When we return, we'll take a look at the Reverend's college life. This is Behind the Syllabus. Welcome back to Behind the Syllabus. Let's shoot it back over to David McCarthey, and let's hear about his college life.
In high school, I thought I would be either a math major or a music major. Then I took a trip to France, and between my junior and senior year in high school, really opened up my eyes to asking questions about the meaning of life, and came back with a renewed appreciation of my own faith. Well, both my parents had gone to Colton College in Minnesota, and 3 out of their 4 parents had. And all the way back, I've got relatives that were in the founding class at Northfield Academy in 1866. So I've got about 20 in my family that preceded me to Carleton College. So that's what I grew up hearing about. I visited some other schools. I lived at Oberlin College in Ohio, which is where Joan went. Looked at some schools locally in Indiana, but still, when push came to shove, I thought Carleton was the best place for me. Glad I went there. Went in with a French major, and to that I added a religion major. Double majoring meant that I had 2 comprehensive projects. big exam and big papers, and one in each field. Well, music was still a big part of kind of what I did in my spare time. I sang in the chapel choir, I sang in the small touring choir, so some of my friends were there. Also became involved in a barbershop group that would meet a couple times a week. Yeah, eventually in graduate school I sang with the choir. I've sung with big choirs that often sing with symphony orchestras. I sang with the choir that sang with the Boston Symphony Orchestra. And one of the conductors of the Boston Symphony Orchestra was John Williams, who wrote the music for all the Indiana Jones movies. They were holding up filming. They needed to record the soundtrack for the scene in the temple. So they needed especially deep voices, a deep bass voice. And about 30 of us came down one evening and rehearsed this and recorded it the next day at Symphony Hall in Boston. And they had somebody standing by to fly this over to England. And no, I don't still have the paycheck. I was in graduate school, so I spent it. My religion professors. Dick Crowder was one I think I had more than anybody else, and he just recently retired. He was my first professor and my major advisor. Graduated in the class of 1977. Went from there to Duke University, where I had a full scholarship to do a PhD in French literature. Left. My second year, began to realize that wasn't quite what I wanted to do, was called to do, so I left with a master's. Went back to Carleton to work for a few years. I worked in the alumni office as the assistant to the director of alumni affairs. I chose Harvard because I was interested still in teaching and being a pastor. I wanted to leave those options open, and I'm glad I did.
Coming up, we take a look at David McCarthey's family life. Stay tuned. This is Behind the Syllabus. Welcome back to Behind the Syllabus. Let's go meet the Reverend's family.
We're still married.
Still married.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
I'm married. Are you married?
I'm married.
Okay.
We met in the basement.
okay,
It
so-
was really unexpected. When I was on the plane flying out from Michigan to Cambridge, I thought that I was probably making a mistake with my life. Suddenly, there we were in the basement, and there was this guy right there who was really interested in the same things that I was. Oh, I was pretty interested. Yeah, he.
Pretty interested early on.
Yeah, it was, and I think a lot of it had to do with there were just so many amazing connections.
Well, it was her last year. We went out to a restaurant and
Our favorite Italian restaurant.
favorite Italian restaurant put us out right in the middle
Of the floor.
of the floor with people all around us. So it was not the
Ideal.
quiet
Yeah.
corner that I expected. So we actually had the conversation later that night. Joan graduated in 1986 from Harvard Divinity School. We were married the following fall. October 12th, 1986 was our wedding in Saginaw, Michigan.
26 years.
Going on 27.
Going on 27.
We have two daughters. Laura, who is 15, soon to be 16, and our older daughter, Julie, is 19, soon to be 20. She's a sophomore in Hastings College in Arkansas. Well, I think the two things that keep us busy, one is swimming for
Yeah,
years.
swimming for years was our life, was swimming. With the girls.
Yeah, and then travel.
Yeah.
When our girls were really young, at age 1 and 5, we took all four of us went to Europe and spent a month in France. And we've been back 3 times since, in 2006, 2008, 2010. Mostly to France.
Okay.
We've been, I think we've been to Norway once, we've been to Ireland once.
Side
For,
trips into
you know,
Switzerland.
Yeah, Switzerland for a week.
Yeah, we have friends in Geneva from Harvard days, so
Yeah.
we like to go over to Geneva and see them.
Some people go on vacation, they stay in these 5-star hotels, and they might as well not leave the U.S. We like to camp on the cheap. I'm fluent enough in French that I can read the websites and make reservations in French.
Keep it locked. When we return, see how David McCarthey found his way to campus. Welcome back to Behind the Syllabus. Now let's see how the Reverend made his way to campus.
My first professional job as a pastor was for 7 years at John Huss Presbyterian Church in Binghamton, New York. While I was doing my PhD, I was a teaching assistant for large classes. I would meet with the students in small groups and do their grading. Was a research assistant for some professors, worked with them on their books. And then during the last 2 years there, I was one of a handful that were asked to join the faculty of the religion department at Duke, and I had the title of visiting instructor of religion. In my work while I was at Duke, I was on the board of the Westminster Presbyterian Campus Fellowship, and so that helped me get a kind of inside look at collegiate ministry. A friend came and said, "You hear there's a job open at Hastings College. They're looking for somebody who's ordained and can be a chaplain and is also wanting to teach." So I came home and said to Joan, I said, "What do you think about Nebraska?"
And then he said, "Football?" And I'm like, "No, I don't think so. No." And he's like, "Yes, football." The first time I ever came to Nebraska was when we stepped off the plane in Lincoln to buy a house here.
My title is Associate Professor of Religion and Chaplain to the college. I came here in September of 2001, so this would be my 13th? 12th year? Yeah. I think it was important to me. I myself am a graduate of a small liberal arts college, and I think I believe in the model of the kind of personal education and attention you get in the liberal arts setting. And I believe in the value of the kind of general education. And so that was important to me, that it was a liberal arts setting. It was important to me that the two were linked, that my role as a chaplain and my role as a professor were not seen as being at odds or separate. I think it shows a greater respect for the role of the chaplain to have the chaplain be a full participant in the faculty. It meant a lot to me. I spent quite a number of years getting my PhD, and it meant that was taken seriously by the college. Some of the other positions I was looking at the time were not offering tenure as part of the job, and the job I answered, the ad I answered, it was asking for somebody who would have primary responsibility for religious life. And that's a pretty broad description. That includes the chapel services, that includes working with the different religious groups on campus. I'm an advisor to the Religious Organizations Committee that oversees everything from FCA to Revive to the chapel band. Other things I do, of course, there's there are always official functions. The graduation, there's a role for clergy in the opening with the prayer. And there are times our campus has been touched by death, whether it's Evan Wheeler or Danny Busboom or Brad Cusadas this fall. We've had faculty deaths. My first year, the director of the college orchestra died of a heart attack while he was in mid-semester teaching. It's hard to choose. Some of the things I like best, I like working with students as they're asking the big questions of what's the meaning of life, what's important. And I get to meet some great people that come to campus. So
Yeah.
it's an awesome part of what I do. What are the challenges of the job? Among the challenges I have are the fact that religion is something that is so deeply personal for so many people that it's ironic. The source of sometimes the greatest comfort for people is also the source of greatest conflict, and it breaks my heart This college was founded by Presbyterians. So the goal of a Presbyterian college isn't to make little Presbyterians or to indoctrinate people into the Presbyterian faith. You never know where and when God is at work in other people. And I think sometimes people don't fully appreciate that. You never know. I'm always surprised by what the next chapter in life has, but certainly can see both of us ending up here. Would love to move to France, and my experience there in the south of France has shown me that I love the country, love the culture.
Cool.
Yeah, we've had a lot
I
of
didn't
really
know that.
cool adventures.
I did not know that. You really have.
Yeah.
We said when we first got married that we wanted to do lots of
Well, we thought about making that part of our vows.
Yeah.
We would have
have
adventures.
adventures. Yeah.
You guys are doing good so far.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sitting down with me. That's
Oh,
all
you
I
bet.
got for you right now.
Okay.
Thanks for watching Behind the Syllabus. Next week's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Professor Eric Tucker. Stay classy, Hastings College.